Derek Brunson believes he's on his way to winning the UFC middleweight title. The longtime contender believes he'll be given a title shot soon, whether in his next bout or the one after that. Stick around to find out why Brunson's bout was moved and why they need backup rules for the fight between Whittaker and Adesanya. Let's dive in. Derek Brunson is just one win away from avenging two of his most exciting defeats. Brunson will take on Jared Cannonier at UFC 271 on February 12th, the same night as the rematch between middleweight title Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker, which is the pay-per-view event's main event at Houston's Toyota Center. At UFC 243, Adesanya easily defeated Whittaker to unify the promotion's 185-pound titles, and Brunson believes the championship won't change his hands when the two meet again. The 38-year-old explained that the change in date was made because the UFC needed to prepare potential backup opponents for the title battle. Brunson told MMA Junkie, "I think the UFC basically wanted a backup for the title fight in case someone fell down and got injured. They have two guys who can leap in for a title shot and four ranked guys. I can see Whittaker winning, but if I had to pick," Brunson told MMA Junkie, "I'd probably say Izzy repeats and wins and keeps his title." Brunson has been on a roll since losing 4 of his last 6 fights, including stoppage defeats to both Whittaker and Adesanya. The 38-year-old might be next in line if he defeats Cannonier, but who would he choose to face for the title? Additionally, if the opportunity arises, Brunson has no difficulty stepping in on short notice to face either Whittaker or Adesanya. Brunson responded, "Oh yeah, for sure, I'd jump in. I've been waiting for this chance for 5 years, and I've waited for that title shot. So if the opportunity arises, I'll definitely take it." Brunson will have to concentrate on Cannonier for the time being, as he's 4-1 in his last 5 appearances. Brunson's aware that Cannonier is a tough opponent, but he's undeterred. "I know he's a decent striker, a big strong person. However, I'm a well-rounded individual," Brunson remarked. Next, Jake Paul's new diss track against Dana White, UFC president. Jake Paul, the controversial YouTuber turned professional boxer, produced a rap video targeting Ultimate Fighting Championship president Dana White on Friday. The Dana White diss track commences with an appearance by former UFC champion Chris Cyborg, who's forced into accepting an expletive contract that doesn't even guarantee healthcare by an actor betraying White. Paul then goes into the track, which takes aim at White and his business associates Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta, as well as noteworthy fighters like Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal, Nate Diaz, and even retiring champion Khabib Nurmagomedov. Paul's latest attempt to demand for more pay in the UFC, while intensifying his personal spat with White, is the definitely not safe for work type of tune, which has over 2 million views on YouTube. Over the last few months, Paul and White have had numerous disagreements. It all started when Paul offered to retire from boxing and join UFC, provided White would agree to enhance fighter pay and provide long-term health insurance for his athletes. White retaliated by implying that Paul was taking anabolic steroids. Unafraid of White's retaliation, Paul said last week that he had investigated Endeavor, the UFC's parent company, with the goal of driving change from within. After that, he informed ESPN's Stephen A. Smith that he was going to form a fighters union. Paul's public spat with White has surely brought attention to UFC's exploitation of athletes. However, given Paul's and his older brother Logan's history of profiting off controversy, it raises questions about his, motivation. Forbes reported earlier this month that Paul earned a total of $40 million from his 3 boxing victories in 2021, all of which were against former UFC fighters. With his sights set on several other possible UFC opponents, including Jorge Masvidal, it makes financial sense for Paul to draw attention to the organization's oppressive contracts and maltreatment of athletes, especially since White was adamant about Paul changing UFC participants. Paul's feud with White also boasts his status in mixed martial arts communities, portraying him as a savior of disadvantaged fighters and attracting more spectators to his bouts. It's no wonder then that Paul is making films criticizing White while saying that it's all for the benefit of underpaid fighters. Unlike the great majority of sports leagues and organizations, which pay athletes between 47 and 50% of the sport's revenue, the UFC has traditionally paid out between 16 and 19% of the sports revenue. Only 16% of the promotion's $900 million in earnings was paid out to the UFC's approximately 600 competitors in 2019. Paul has a once-in-a-lifetime chance to assist countless combatants improve their lives. It remains to be seen whether the YouTube celebrity would follow through on his vows of support or keep to his business model of earning from real-world controversies. Now let's take a look at Adesanya versus Whittaker 2. The highly anticipated title rematch between Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya at UFC 271 is now less than 2 weeks away. When they face off again in less than a month at UFC 271, Rob Whittaker will seek to follow in the footsteps of the only man to defeat Israel Adesanya. Whittaker became interim champion after defeating Yoel Romero in a barn burner at UFC 213, and then defeated him again to earn the title of permanent champion. Whittaker's reign as champion came to an end after Adesanya knocked him out in the second round of their UFC 243 event in front of over 57,000 fans at Marvel Stadium Stadium in Melbourne. They haven't fought in 2 years, and Whittaker believes he's grown tremendously since. Since they last fought, Adesanya has lost for the first time in his 9-year MMA career, although it was due to the Kiwi's experiment as he stepped up a weight class. John Blachowicz, the UFC light heavyweight champion, was the victor, defeating Adesanya by a majority decision in a dominant performance. Whittaker understands that he won't be able to repeat the Pole's triumph because it occurred at a higher weight class, but it did provide him with some valuable insight into the blueprint for defeating Adesanya. Jan demonstrated a tremendous degree of versatility in his skill set, Whittaker added, being patient, going in and striking, incorporating takedowns, and allowing Izzy to enter his strikes. However, Adesanya has matured in the same way Whittaker has since they last fought. However, it hasn't transformed the champion into an immoral beast. I believe I can be defeated, Whittaker remarked. I believe I can defeat him. It seems that Whittaker is pretty confident that he can give the Kiwi fighter a run for his money this year and potentially take him out and take home the championship once again. This is a highly anticipated fight, and we can't wait to see how it plays out. Last on the docket, Sean Strickland claims Adesanya does steroids. Prior to his impending middleweight title battle against Robert Whittaker at UFC 271, as we mentioned, UFC middleweight Sean Strickland has accused Israel Adesanya of using drugs, a very controversial statement to say the least. Although Adesanya has been an outspoken opponent of steroid use in MMA, Strickland claims that the last stylebender comes from a steroid background of kickboxing and is one of the game's most skilled fighters. With that said, Tarzan recognizes Adesanya as a superb fighter and predicts that the incumbent UFC middleweight champion will starch Whittaker in the rematch on February 12th. He continued stating, don't get me wrong, we all know he does steroids and that probably helps his performance. Anyways, let's get back to him and Whittaker. Izzy is a fantastic striker who comes from a strong kickboxing background, he noted. I believe he'll starch Whittaker because he's a fantastic fighter. In the rematch at UFC 217, Adesanya will seek to duplicate his knockout victory over Whittaker, who claimed the middleweight title in 2019. Now, this isn't the first time the last stylebender has been accused of using steroids to enhance his performance. Israel Adesanya thrashed Paulo Costa in the main event of UFC 253, finishing him in the second round. His performance, however, was not the only component of the event that drew attention. Following the event, Adesanya's right pectoral muscle became a huge talking point. On Ariel Helwani's show, Adesanya addressed the topic following his appearance in the cage at UFC 253. The Kiwi's explanation, on the other hand, was, to say the least, unsatisfactory. According to Adesanya, I didn't want to say anything about it until I knew what it was because it had been on me for 8 weeks and was getting bigger. This is extremely painful, I said. I'm not sure what it is, but according to what I've read, gynecomastia, it affects both your boobs, and this is only one of them. Although it was never confirmed or denied whether or not steroids had contributed, Adesanya claimed it was just a medical condition. However, a large crowd of UFC fans remain skeptical, which is mostly why other fighters continue to claim he's on performance-enhancing drugs today. And there you have it. Everything you need to know about Derek Brunson and how his bout was pushed to the main event just in case they need a backup fighter. Additionally, we also touched on the upcoming match between Whittaker and Adesanya, which is definitely going to be a big one. As well, we went over some claims against Israel Adesanya, the last stylebender. Make sure to let us know your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our new and upcoming content. Thanks for watching.